what is metadata, why it was collected, and then there's links underneath for all of the metadata records for the 4 main surveys. So I'm going to be going through the Long River survey as the example, since that was the first survey that we created metadata for. So this is the first thing that you see when you click on that page. So we have an overview description of the survey, so it's about 1 paragraph, kind of giving a good overview. We have this figure from Chang et al. In 2023 showing the spatial coverage of the HRBMP with the 13 different sampling regions. If you scroll down, we have this handy table with hyperlinks in it that you can click, and you can get the PDF of the overview document. You can see the metadata records in the 2 different formats. You can download the timeline that we've developed, the data dictionary, or download everything as a zip file. And then we have a citation to use for the metadata record. We want people to use this information and cite it. We spent a lot of time compiling, going through all of these historical documents, PDF by PDF at a time, and trying to make and consolidate everything so that future people don't have to go through the painstaking process that we went through. So going into the overview document, it's about between like 8 to 10 pages per survey, providing just a general overview, a little bit about the field sampling, the lab processing. This table is highlighting how the species of interest changed over time. And then we have some great summary figures and tables that other members in the lab have created. So this is just showing the sampling intensity, by year and by river region. And so we have similar figures for the beach stain and the fall juvenile survey. Going back, if you click on the metadata and the HTML, this one is probably easier to read through for people who aren't familiar with like a traditional metadata record. So it basically is just a super long document that you scroll through that has who created the data, when it was collected, has all of the different attributes, so every variable that was collected, it has the definition, it has a variable range. It's pretty dense, so if you want to start with the overview document that has a good, introductory, and then you can dive into the more detailed metadata records. It's also in XML. This one is even worse to look at. If you know what you're looking at, I find it easy to parse through because I've done a lot of metadata, and so I know this was, Jan wasn't a huge fan of this, and other people were like, we need some more visual interpretations of the data. Going into the timeline, it's a spreadsheet that you can download, and it has a bunch of different columns covering, the general sampling timeline, what portions of the river it covered, details on the sampling methods, if there were any protocol changes. So really the detail and method protocol changes, especially for the Long River survey, is pretty crucial. There was a lot of changes over time, so we spent a lot of time going through yearly standard operating procedures to make sure that we were capturing, even minute changes that happened year to year. We have the data dictionary. So this goes through every variable name, the full name, a description, if there was any codes that were used. So for the catch codes, there's 3 different codes that are included in the database, so providing explanations. So if someone gets the data, they don't have to, go through documents to figure out what exactly 1 in this column means. And then I would just like to acknowledge the Hudson River Foundation, who provided the funding for this project. Lots of members of the Chen Lab helped develop figures, helped review metadata documents. Entergy, of course, for donating the samples and the database to Stony Brook. SOMAS, and then, our HRBMP research group to really help and was involved in this process the whole step of the way. And of course, the potential stakeholders who also took their time to go through all of the documents that I shared with them. So if you want any more information, I would suggest taking a peek at our website. That's where you can find all of the metadata records and the associated reference documents. It also has a ton of great information. Thank you.
Do we have time for questions?
Yeah.
Did
date is the metadata right now, currently?
As of last month.
So
Or a
all
couple
new
months ago.
survey data has been inputted into?
Yeah, so the metadata records, I think we finalized them at the beginning or end of January and had them all uploaded to the website. So this covers the historical survey, so the data ends in 2017. But yeah, all of these are completely up to date.
But it stops at 2017?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm curious what gaps you found and how that's informing future.
So going through like this whole metadata process and then people in the lab individually looking specifically at the Long River survey data, noticing some weird things that have happened over time, and that's what kind of spurred the calibration project that Ming will be talking about later. So, you know, ideally in the future, you would want to keep things consistent. Like Greg said, funding came every year, so I don't know how much, you know, planning went into making sure things stayed consistent. Yeah.
Just a quick comment. I mean, you know, maybe some of it was driven by lawyers. Because this was ongoing, you know, legal litigation, so.
Yeah. Any other? Yeah.
So you started with 81 variables. Got down to 9.
For the prototypes that we sent out to people, the actual metadata records cover everything.
Okay.
So every variable, even if it might not contain a ton of useful information, like there's a column saying what boat was used to collect the data.
Gotcha.
So that's all included. But for the prototypes, also to make it easier for the reviewers, we didn't want them to have to sift through.
Gotcha. So that was the 9 was for the.
Yeah, just the the prototypes. But the metadata has detailed information about everything that was collected.
And the follow, I'm guessing that, you know, so they had like, there's a lot of ways that one could think about like effort in this. I'm guessing though that metadata does not include any of that sort of like surface level analysis of effort calculations.
No, so we really didn't provide any information on like the data processing. It's basically just if someone, you know, if we sent them the data, they would know what column means what. They would be able to understand, you know, say in 1982 there was some method change that would affect how they would use the data.
Well, yeah. Is there any plans of incorporating the DEC data from 2017 onwards into this data set?
That would be a question for Greg.
So for that,
Greg,
so right as we talk about making this new ecological biological monitoring program, it would be great if there was a place where it all lived. I think we're quite a ways from figuring out how to handle that.
I think our website at least is a good start for all of the background information. There's at least now one place where you can go to get, you know, the background information on the HRBMP. Before it was, you know, we have file folders on Google Drive with hundreds of PDFs that we had to go through.